Now to a developing story, a battle for control at City Hall. Governor Hochul now taking steps to try and limit Mayor Adams' powers, but is not removing him from office.
Adams is now facing calls to resign after the Department of Justice moved to dismiss federal corruption charges against him. Let's go now live to Elijah Westbrook outside Governor Hochul's Manhattan office on the east side. Elijah.
Yeah, certainly a lot to break down when it comes to this, Mary and Natalie. And as you just mentioned, the governor has announced a series of steps that are essentially limiting the power of Mayor Adams while he remains in office. And instead, she wants to rely on certain elected city officials to go around him in challenging the actions of the Trump administration. At this time, we know that they include, and you see right there on your screen, establishing a new inspector general for the city who is able to direct the Department of Investigations to open new probes, bar Adams from firing the city's top internal investigator without state approval, allow the city council speaker, public advocate, and comptroller to circumvent the mayor's office in filing lawsuits against the Trump administration, and give the state comptroller more money to monitor the city and its finances. Now, Governor Hochul had spent days contemplating whether to exert her power and oust Mayor Adams from office ever since President Trump's deputy attorney general pushed to drop his corruption case. But as of yesterday, she says she will not remove Adams from office, at least for now. The mayor denies allegations of quid pro quo for his cooperation with Trump's immigration enforcement. This after 4 top deputy mayors resigned, and a federal judge is weighing whether to approve the motion to dismiss the mayor's case.
I cannot deny the people of this great city the power to make this decision for themselves.
She's leaving the door open, but it's really a veiled threat. Trying to diminish his power is a half measure, but a very dangerous measure.
Now, most of the governor's proposals require approval from city and state lawmakers. We know that if they pass, Hochul says that they would expire at the end of the year and are subject to renewal at a later date. That's the latest at this time. From Manhattan's east side, Elijah Westbrook, CBS News, New York.
Elijah, thank you. 6:35. A lot of questions still remain about what happens next. To answer some of them, we're joined by Dante Mills, a civil and criminal attorney. Welcome. And U.S. District Judge Dale Ho is weighing Justice Department's request to dismiss the criminal case against Adams. How soon might we learn his decision?
Good morning, Mary. So Judge Ho said that he understands the importance of this and he does not want to drag it on, is what his comment was. But he also said he didn't want to shoot from the hip. That was his direct comment, where he knew the importance of this decision and wants to get it right. The problem is both the federal prosecutor's office and Eric Adams' defense attorneys want this case to be dismissed. So there was no one representing the other side of this argument. There was no one in court to say, here's why the case should not be dismissed. So Judge Ho may bring someone to file an amicus brief to outline the position as why this case should not be dismissed, so he has that argument in front of him and can make an informed decision. Because as far as Eric Adams' team and the federal prosecutor that was there at that hearing, they both only argued for reasons why this case should be dismissed. So he wanted to get the full picture before he actually came up with the decision.
And regarding that, late yesterday, 3 former U.S. attorneys from New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, they submitted a letter urging the judge to hear from other parties than the government and the defendant. What is the likelihood that that would happen?
I think it's going to happen. I also think it makes sense. If you're a judge, and Judge Ho in this case is a very, he's a very straightforward judge. He's going to want all of the information. But you can't insert things into a case. There has to be an attorney or someone who puts forward those arguments for the court to consider. And I think it's wise to make all of the considerations appropriate here. What you don't want to happen is for, if this is a quid pro quo situation where Mayor Eric Adams, the only reason the case is being moved to dismissed against him is so he can abide by the will of the president. If that conflicts with the will of the people of New York City, which is he's the mayor of, the judge wants to make sure that that conflict is not going to affect the mayor of New York's job. If it does, if there's a clear quid pro quo, he may not allow these charges to be dismissed. It's going to be difficult for him to force the U.S. Attorney's Office to move forward with charges, but ultimately he's the ultimate decision holder as to whether or not these cases can just be dropped on its face.
Many legal experts are saying that the judge will dismiss this case, but if the judge does dismiss, is that really the end, or could the mayor's legal issues resurface at a later date?
That's the hook here. I do believe the judge is going to dismiss these charges because it's hard, again, to force the U.S. Attorney's Office to move forward with the case that they're saying they don't believe in. However, the charges are being dismissed without prejudice, which means at any point the charges can be refiled against Mayor Adams. And that's the concern here of a quid pro quo, because if Mayor Eric Adams at any point says, I don't want to do what President Trump is telling me to do, they can then say, okay, well, we're going to recharge you. We're going to refile these criminal charges if you don't follow our rules and do what we tell you to do. That's the hook here. So the judge may, in fact, dismiss the charges, but say, I'm going to dismiss them with prejudice. That way you don't have control over the mayor, and he's not obligated to listen to you under the threat of these criminal charges being brought back up and him facing those charges in federal court.
Lots being considered. Dante Mills, thank you very much for taking some time to talk to us this morning.
Thank you.